Welcome everyone to EzFinTiPs. Today I'm excited about this conversation. I have someone who has worked in the trucking industry for many years. The reason EzFinTiPs exists is to encourage individuals like her to share their knowledge. She recently decided to take her knowledge and started her trucking company. Her trucking company is Interstate Trucker Services Corp. So I'm happy that she decided to share her knowledge and experiences with us. Evelyn, welcome to EzFinTiPs.
Thank you, Omar. As you said, the company that we open is called Interstate Trucker Services Corp. We focus on offering services to trucking companies and to truck drivers to get started in the trucking industry and to help the process be easier and to take away some of the headache that may come with all the paperwork, making sure things are renewed on time, and so on.
And Evelyn, thank you for that. So first question for you, Evelyn, what should someone think about when they're starting a trucking company?
When it comes to starting a trucking company, the first thing is to register your company with the state that you want to operate in. Another one is to get your tax ID for tax filing purposes. Then you also have to think about your insurance provider, also who's going to be, what company you're going to be using to do your ELD, your electronic logs for your drivers. Also, how are you going to pay your drivers? Are you going to use finance company like ADP, or are you your own payroll? There are different things that you have to take into consideration. So you have to do your research, make sure that you have the right people helping you with the process to make sure that you're all set up when it comes to starting to operate your own company.
So let's say I do all my research, I come to the conclusion, this is something I want to do. How do I register my company then? What do I need to do?
That's something where the company that I have will come into help. Let's say you reach out to our company, you'll say, oh, hey, Evelyn, I decided to open a trucking company, and I was wondering if you can help me to register the company with the state to get my tax ID, and also to be registered with to get my DOT number and my MC number. After that, doing the registration process correct, because it's something that will affect how you do business based on how you register your company. So you pretty much just have to make sure that you contact a good service company that is going to be able to help you with that process.
Okay, good stuff. So let's say my company is registered properly and we're up and running. What are some challenges that someone may face when the company is up and running?
Some of the challenges that new trucking company can face can be from not finding enough trips, let's say, because you don't have enough experience. And some customers might not want to work with you because your company is too new. Another one will be, let's say, finding too much work and then not having enough drivers to be able to complete the work. Also, let's say, finding a location for your company to operate in based on the area that you want to work. Real estate for trucking companies is hard, and it is also expensive, especially if you want to be around the areas that have container terminals around the ports. So that's also another challenge that you might face, finding, let's say, a place to park your trucks, making sure that where you're leaving your equipment is a secure area, that the cargo is going to be secure, that your equipment is going to be secure. So those are some of the challenges that you can face.
Now, along with considering all of that, one of the things that a lot of people worry about are their drivers. When you're starting out, how do you vet your driver?
So when it comes to vetting your drivers, there are two things that you need to do. The first one is to run their driving record, and the other one is to have them do a drug test and an alcohol test. There is a new, let's say, program that was implemented by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety, the FMCSA, which is that, let's say, every single drug test or alcohol test that somebody holding a CDL license does needs to be recorded. So if at some point that driver has a positive drug test or an alcohol test, all of that will come in a report that you run for that driver. So for your driving record, there are different companies that offer that service online, pretty much live. All you have to do is enter the information of your driver, you pay a fee, and then they will send you back a report on the record of the driving record of that person. And then for your drug test, there are different consortiums where you can have the driver do the drug and alcohol test.
Let's stay along that vein. You said something pretty interesting. In the sense, if a driver, you have to do a drug test and an alcohol test. Let's say a driver have those type of marks on their records. Are you still able, is it smart to still hire someone with that on their record, or should you look for someone else?
Well, I cannot tell you like not to hire that person, let's say, because everybody has gone through some bad stuff, let's say, in their life, or like, some people have. So you can tell that driver like, oh, I won't hire you based on this. Also, it could be that it has been like multiple years that have passed. And also, whenever a driver gets a positive drug test, they have to go through a program where, like, they have to show proof that that's not something that they're doing, let's say, on the day to day, and so on. Also, they can show proof whether it is for like medication and so on. Of course, you have to be wise with the decision that you're making, because having a positive drug test is something serious, especially in the trucking industry, because whenever you're operating that type of equipment, it's a lot of damage that you can cause to yourself and also to others on the road. And it's a lot of liability. So you just have to make sure that whomever it is that you're hiring, that they have the best record as possible.
Let's use an example of an accident. Let's say the driver got into an accident and now they're not able to deliver the products or services. The products. What happens to you? What type of liabilities are you open to?
Okay, so let's say for the accident, it's pretty much the damage on your truck, the damage on your trailer or the container that belongs to a steamship line. And then also you have the damage to the cargo. So those are three types of damage for which you need to have your insurance. That's why you need to make sure that you have a good insurance. So you will have to have your driver document the accident, then based on the information that you have, and once you receive the police report, or at least the police report number, and you know exactly what happened, then you have to reach out to your insurance company. You have to explain everything that happened. You will pay your deductible like any other regular insurance, and your insurance company will pretty much worry about covering the cost, paying the correct parties involved, and so on. You have to also make sure that you let your customer know, like, oh, hi, we're so sorry to inform you that one of our drivers had an accident and won't be able to deliver your cargo. It could be that nothing happened to the cargo itself. It could be that, just something happened to the truck and the cargo will be in perfect state. So that's always something that you have to mention, and like you always have to show your customer like proof, like, oh, hi, like this is what your cargo looks like at the moment, and your cargo is currently located at such and such place. You want to make sure that your customers have all the information that they need, because what they're worried about is their cargo. They want to make sure that whatever they're shipping from point A to point B, it's in good conditions. So you have to make sure to provide good information on that.
Okay.
And also, one of the liabilities, let's say, or something that will haunt, let's say, your company, will be the fact that based on how you on that accident, if one of the vehicles needs to be towed, let's say your truck or another vehicle involved in the accident, this accident will be recorded in the FMCSA or the SMS safety system. It's the Federal Motor Carrier safety site. So in there, customers can see that how your rating is, and an accident is not something that gives you the best rating, and you might lose customers based on that. So that's why it's pretty important for you to have good drivers, for your equipment to be good, to make sure you have good tires, good brakes, and that the cargo that you're hauling is packed the correct way.
Now, let's say your business is up and running, everything is going well. How do you find new business, and then how do you market your company as well?
Well, everything depends on what your trucking company wants to focus on. There are different options available. You have intermodal, where you go to the ports, and that's where your main business is going to be based on, where like you get empty containers to bring to point B, let's say to get loaded, to bring back to the port terminal. And you also have full containers that you're taking out of the port to another facility and returning them into to the port. So that's one. For that one, you will work with different lines, let's say shipping lines. You have those are things that you have to like investigate, like, okay, so which lines are available, with which one can I work, with which one do I meet the requirements. There is also one that is for like those trucking companies that have their own trailers. They're drive-in or reefer that are 53-foot trailers. For that one, it has kind of been the most popular among drivers because they don't have to be going to container terminal, so they don't have to be waiting to get inside a port or be making huge lines for them to get a container out. So for this one, let's say for you to get business on that, there is something called a low bore. Amazon has one. Other big companies have low boards where you pretty much go in there. There is a team dispatching, and you'll see everything that is available. And then from there, you choose what your trucker is able to do or whatever your company has been approved to do. And based on those moves that you make, the trips that you make, how you complete them, if you deliver the cargo on time, if the cargo arrived safe at whatever location it was supposed to get to, then that is something that is going to be good exposure for your business. And as you finish more trips, that is kind of giving you a ranking, and other customers are going to come back to you. And let's say some companies might even keep you as their house trucker, let's say. It means that whenever they have trips, they will just assign them directly to you instead of you having to go through that website to select the moves. They will just call you directly and tell you, hey, I have 5 different shipments that I have Pennsylvania to Ohio, and then you have to go from Ohio to Oregon, and then from Oregon you're going to go back to Pennsylvania. And like they will arrange whatever it is that you need to do. So like it also will depend on that. So based on how you operate and how your drivers manage to complete each shipment, that's something that it's going to give good exposure to your company, and it's going to boost your let's say your market.
Let's say I'm a new owner, I'm new to trucking, and also the driver that I want to hire is also new to the industry. Is how would, when it comes to training, what would be the best way to train that person or find training for myself?
There are different rankings, let's call it. So let's say you just bought a truck, right? After you bought the truck, you came to my company and you want me to, let's say, or no, well, let's say before you bought the truck, you opened a trucking company, right? So with the trucking company, all I did was register you with the state and get you a tax ID and get your and that's it. Let's say that was all I did. Then after that, you decide to buy a truck. Then once you bought the truck, then I will register, let's say apply for insurance for that truck. So you have insurance on your truck that will cover bobtail, which means whenever you are without a container attached to your truck, or also physical damage that happens to your vehicle. So once that happens, the next thing that you can do if you're new in the industry, and you might also get a new driver, is instead of becoming a motor carrier, which is, let's say, when you have your DOT number and your MC number, that you can get trips, let's say, to yourself without having to go to another company. I would recommend that you actually work for another company, that you start making trips with them, that you start moving your truck with them, and that your driver is getting experience. Why? Because at least you're going to start knowing the market, you're going to know how everything is. Also, in that meantime, you can get more trucks. And then as you see how that process goes, then you can open your motor carrier where you get your MC number, you get your DOT number, and then you start to, let's say, do business directly between you and the customer. And then once you have your business, that's what you assign to your drivers to do. The reason I say that is because it is hard for you to have a new trucking company and also to have drivers with no experience. It's a lot of exposure. It's a lot of headache in the sense that you won't know what you're doing. Your driver might not know what you're doing, what he's doing. So you have to make sure that you're starting from the ground up. In the trucking company, everybody gets, let's say, a piece of the money, let's say. So although you might be like, oh, but I won't be making as much money, it might be true, but it might not be true as well, because instead of you having to worry about who's going to get what trips you're going to have, you have another company that is worrying about that, that is dispatching your truck, that is paying your company, and so on. And that is going to kind of give you the idea of how a business, a trucking company operates. And it is also, again, going to provide more experience for your drivers.
Let's say I don't want to take that route. I'm a new owner, and I say, you know what? Instead of getting a new driver, I want to find an experienced driver. Is your company able to help me with that? Do you guys offer that service as well?
Well, we can help with, let's say, the hiring process of that driver. We
Okay.
can help to get you the driving record, the drug test, alcohol test, to make sure that all the paperwork with that driver is accurate, and that whatever company they worked at before, that they have a clean record, that they didn't leave, like in bad terms, or that they didn't have bad reputation, like not making the deliveries on time, or not showing up to appointments. So that's a lot of the information that we can find when we help you with the hiring process of a driver. So you can go on that route where you get an experienced driver, because again, having two inexperienced sides of the business, a driver and also you running the company, managing the company, is not a good combination. So in that case, yeah, you will have to kind of pay a little bit more, but then at the same time, you can remember that that driver is going to be the first marketing tool of your company, and based on how that driver works and completes their assignments, that's going to be good marketing for your company.
Now, it seems like trucking, there's a lot of operations as well. Um, so I guess your company is more like taking care of my entire operation, and then all I have to do is focus on is making the money and marketing my business.
Our company will focus more on, let's say, the drivers, right? Making sure that your drivers have all their documents up to date, that your truck registration is up to date, that if your insurance is about to expire, that we're already working with your insurance agent to get it renewed. Let's say if you need a permit for an overweight trip that you're going to do, we will get that. If you're going to move liquor around, we will get that permit for you. If you need to pass through an estate that requires a special permit, we will do that as well. Any filings that you need to do to be compliant with the state or with the government, we will handle that for you. Then what you as the owner of your trucking company will do is you will focus on who your customers are going to be, how are you going to market your business, how are you going to pay your drivers, who is going to dispatch your drivers. So you will kind of do the day-to-day operation of business with your customer. And then we will do, let's say, the back works that require your company to be in good standing and that allows you to operate and that allows your driver to operate.
Now, here's the final question, Evelyn. Um, why do you like the trucking industry?
The reason why I like the trucking industry is because it is always changing. It is not something that you're like, oh, okay, tomorrow I will wake up and I will always look at the blue wall. The next day you might wake up and that wall is going to be yellow, orange, brown. There is always something changing. So whether it is the route that you're working on, whether it is the people that you're working on, the services that you're offering, new laws that come into play, something that you always have to be learning. So since it is always an ongoing process and it is always challenging, that's why I like it because it's not always the same. It is very diverse. There is always something new, and there is always more that you can learn and more services that can be offered.
Good, good. Now, if someone sees this video and they want to work with you, or they want to reach out to you, just to get more information, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, we are on social media. We have an Instagram account. You can also find us on Google under Interstate Trucker Services Corp. And we will be more than glad to work with you, whether it is that you just want information about the trucking industry and how to start, the benefits of starting to work in the trucking industry. We can help you from the ground all the way to until your company's shining and making big moves.
Good stuff, good stuff. Evelyn, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing the information with us.
Thank you, Omar. Take care.